This week we're going to talk about fur and leather. So furs and leather are not like knits and woven. This is because knits and woven fabrics are made up of yarns that are either interlaced or looped together, interlaced for wovens and looped together for knits. They are composed of yarns that make up their structure. Furs and leathers are made from the processed skins of animals, so yarns are not needed for their production. This also means that fur and leather will not fray or unravel. First, let's take a look at leather. What are the characteristics of leather? Leather is extremely durable. However, it can't be washed or cared for normally. You wouldn't just dump it in a washing machine. It requires special cleaning, conditioning, and sometimes even polishing. It's very flame resistant, even more so than wool. Many times, garments that need to be heat or flame protective are made from thick leather. Leather is very warm, and it also breathes, as it is porous. It is mildew resistant and also water resistant, but it's important to keep your leather dry. Even though it can keep the rain off you in inclement weather, it's very important to dry off your leather clothing, jackets or whatnot once you get home. Keeping them wet can dry them out, cause them to crack, and even sometimes cause mold. So, how to ID leather? There are a few ways of telling leather apart from fake leather, but the best is the burn test. Much like in all of our other fibers, leather will burn in a very unique way. Or, I guess better saying, it will not burn in a very unique way. As we can see, leather is very flame resistant. It will not catch fire. If you look at the demonstration video below, this man is not using a lighter like we saw in some of our previous burn test videos. It's a blowtorch. These are extremely hot and extremely powerful. However, even so, the leather does not catch fire. It is very unlikely that a piece of real leather will catch fire with just a normal lighter or a match. Instead of catching fire, what leather will do is char. As you can see, these sort of black burned patches arise from the flame. It will tend to curl or pucker a bit, as you can see, but sometimes, especially leather made specifically for flame resistance, will remain unaffected. Real animal leather can be easily differentiated from synthetic leather by the way it burns. So, as we see here, the real leather is loath to catch fire and will sort of smell a little bit like grilling. However, synthetic leather will easily burn. It will catch fire and keep its flame even when moved away from the source flame. It will melt and bead up and sort of drip. A thick, heavy black smoke will be released that smells like burning plastic. The majority of leather used today is cow's leather. The leather that we use from cows is a byproduct of the meat industry. So when cows are killed for their beef or reach the end of their productive life as a dairy cow, their skin will become leather in the slaughtering process. It's a way of making use of the entire part of the animal. Here shows a short, relatively simple graph of where the best quality leathers come from on the animal. Now this will change depending on the type of animal. because we can get leather from pretty much any animal that has skin. We don't typically get skin or leather from chicken skin, even though that is another animal that is frequently killed for its meat, because we tend to eat chicken skin a lot more than we eat cow skin. So that is usually sold along with the bird. However, again, we don't tend to eat cow's leather, just the meat, so that will be made into leather. As you can see, the best leather comes right about the lower back portion of the hide. And radiating outward, we get different grades of leather. That is just one part or one aspect of the quality of leather. However, there's another aspect of where on the actual skin of the animal we are getting the leather. Here's a cross section of a hide, and it shows the different parts of the animal's skin. When we make leather, we will actually split up this skin into different layers, which give us different qualities of leather. This is a little diagram simplified to show us that we split the animal skin to get different layers. And these different layers, again, will give us different qualities of leather. The top grain, shown here, are the types of leather that use the outer layer of the hide. They are strong, don't tear easily, have a very soft feel, and drape very well. They also tend to have a bit more elasticity than other types of leather. These are considered the highest qualities of leather. Split leather, on the bottom here, is the bottom part of the leather after it has been split. It is more commonly found in work gloves, upholstery, and shoes, as the drape is not as good, or feel is not as good as the top grain leather. Genuine leather. Genuine leather is a phrase that is bandied about quite a bit, and in advertising, it's meant to sort of say, oh, we use real leather. Look at us, aren't we great? Now, it is associated again with actual leather from an animal hide. However, when talking about leather qualities, it simply means that it is coming from an intermediate layer in between the top and split leather. Sometimes genuine leather, it cannot be considered very good quality leather, although it is still indeed real leather. All leather will have a type of grain, unless it has been buffed away by some sort of finish. The grain is like a fingerprint. It is a natural texture to the skin of the animal. It is unique in every hide, just like a fingerprint. Typically, grain sizes will remain consistent on visible areas of an item. Areas that are not visible might have variable grain sizes. Depending on the type of leather, you may be able to see the history of the animal in the grain as well, such as scars, insect bites, and so forth. In any case, in any leather, the texture on the surface of the piece of leather is called the grain. When we talk about full grain, this refers to leather that has its original, natural grain that has not been altered by finishes. So it will be unique and original to the animal that it came from. Corrected grain refers to leather where the natural grain has been altered by finishing or at times embossed with an artificial grain texture altogether. So the corrected grain is meant to mimic what the animal grain, the natural animal grain, will look like. And this can be done in times where the grain is not nice or patchy and is meant to even it out over the surface of the leather. We can also refer to a grain as tight or loose. And here are two examples of a tight and loose grain. As you can see, a tight grain has a tighter, finer, more compact texture, where the looser grain, the texture is a little bit bumpier and rougher. Suede. Suede leather has a soft napped face. Although it can be made from any type of leather, we typically say it made from lamb skin. Although cow skin leather, suede, is often used as well. Remember that when we produce leather, we are splitting or cutting the hide into different layers. Suede always comes from the split leather, so it is cut on the top and cut on the bottom. This means there is no grain to suede because it doesn't incorporate the top part of the hide, the outer part. Instead, the cut surfaces on both the top and bottom are brushed up to create this sort of soft pile. The piles are never very thick or deep, enough to just sort of give it a little bit of a fuzzy feeling.